The old Quincy school was built very early on in 1847. It was one of the earliest elementary schools in the city of Boston. It was built primarily because there were other schools at that time that were not sufficient for the new population that came into Boston. There were only 2 schools in Boston at that time, and there was a need for more enrollment for students to accommodate the students. The school was built by some of the famous educators who tried to accommodate the local populations. The Asian students were studying with other immigrant students as well. There were a lot of Irish, Italians, Syrians, and they all studied together. And they were encouraged to just study English. At that time in the beginning, it was a way to assimilate immigrant students into Americans. So they were taught everything that other public schools would teach. The building now is used by the CCBA, Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association of New England. And they have used the building since 1976. They officially moved into the building in the early 80s, but they purchased this building from the government in 1976. So CCBA used the building for multiple purposes. They used it for education. There was a Chinese language school that moved from the earlier location to this building. This was called the Kwangkao Chinese School, and this was the oldest Chinese language school that started in 1916. And other than the language school, there are also other classes that were held in the building. CCBA was a very old organization in Chinatown. It first started in 1923, and they have always been there for the Chinese community.
When new immigrants come to Boston, Chinatown in particular, they're looking for somewhere for them to seek help, and we're like a resource center for them. Back then, with the new immigrant, a lot of them doesn't speak English. We have people here help them with housing and also with work. We are an umbrella organization of the Family Association and the Fraternal Organization. There is usefulness. We have community events like CCBA sponsored the Chinese New Year Lion Dance in Chinatown, and also in August, we have the August Moon Festival.
There are a lot of activities like the music club, leisure club like playing sports, ping pong, and different types of sports and activities as well. This is a program by National Park Service that try to register historic landmarks all over the country. By recognizing this building into the historical register, more people would know that the history of Chinese in Boston was not separable from the history of every group in Boston. It was an important chapter of the history of education in Boston.
So it's my honor, on behalf of Secretary Galvin, the chairman of the Massachusetts Historical Commission, and Bronna Simon, the State Historic Preservation Officer, to present this National Register certificate designating the Quincy Grammar School and the historic resources associated with Chinese immigrants and Chinese Americans in the city of Boston, multiple property submission to the National Register of Historic Places. The Quincy Grammar School was accepted on August 1st, 2017 for inclusion in the National Register. Congratulations.
The Josiah Quincy School is recently listed on the National Register, but perhaps most notably, it is the first in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to be listed for its associations with Chinese American and Chinese immigrant history. This designation recognizes that the Josiah Quincy School's history is important not just here in Chinatown, but this is history which is Boston history.